All right, all right, all right.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about the controversial topic that is whether or not UX designers should be writing code. What do you think?
I think they shouldn't.
You think no, huh?
Yeah, just
you
kidding.
think no.
So I have actually a question. I will ask you: should they be writing code or not?
Well, I am a designer and I happen to write React code on a daily basis pretty much. So I think you can probably guess where I fall on this. I do firmly believe that it's a good idea for designers to have some base level understanding of front end development in this day and age.
But let me ask you something actually. What is the difference between UI and UX design, or nowadays we have a product design like?
So UI designer, UX designer, product designer, yeah, these are all titles, and for the sake of today's discussion, they're gonna mean the same thing. It is true there are some subtle differences between these titles, but for the vast majority of people and companies, these terms are used interchangeably. So when I say designer, or UX designer, product designer, I'm referring to the same thing. Somebody who's designing end-to-end solutions for apps, websites, things like that today. So
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I did not know. But if you think that UI, UX, or product designers should be able to code,
yeah.
give me 5 reasons.
Oh man.
At least 3.
Sure, at least 3. So I think one of the first reasons I'll say is better communication and collaboration with developers.
True, people say that a coder never talks. They're just busy coding.
No, well, I think in a good high-functioning team, right, there's some collaboration. Yeah. You don't want to just go off into a room and build something without discussing. So I would say if you can speak the language of developers, you're going to have a better end product because there's going to be a lot more collaboration and communication between
What
the
if
teams.
we ask coder to be a good UX designer?
Oh man, well let's not go down this rabbit hole. That's a valid point though. That is a valid point. That is a valid point. Yeah. So I think really, let's not think of it that way. Let's think of it as a professional. What can help make us more valuable as an employee, right? Like something that is also gives us more career flexibility. And I think that's part number 2 for this is by knowing some code, it makes you more valuable. It gives you more career flexibility. Maybe, the design, there's not much design work for you, but some front-end coding, then all I'm really saying is, instead of spending that extra hour or 2 looking on Dribbble for design inspiration, maybe set aside some time to actually build out a portfolio of yours from scratch, and while you're doing that, you'll learn some languages. Or an app idea that you prototyped, why not actually try building it out? Those fundamental skills, while they may seem like a leap for a designer, can prove invaluable to their career.
But I will tell you one more thing. Like in my team, when we started working together, we had a designer.
Okay.
And you know that. So, but when you came in, a person who was good with the design and good with coding, you just somehow organically took over both jobs. Like now you're designing and coding. So I think it's good to have both.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's
you're right.
Good complementary skills to have.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a valid reason.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's exceptions, right? Like there's exceptions for everything. We're not saying that you absolutely have to learn to code, right? If you are the type of person who really wants to hone a very specific skill set, power to you. I am not saying that is not a valid way to go about it, and you'll be a better designer than I probably. However, it may be at your own detriment because it will make the job pool that you are eligible for much smaller, and frankly, there's just not that many roles that I have seen that are pure design. Go look at UI UX design jobs. You're going to find a lot that are in the job description requiring some form of coding skills.
So true. Like nowadays, even now we have like a Gen AI designer, like Gen AI product designer, or like all these things. So things are changing, evolving a lot.
Yes. Yeah, and I think AI, that's true. AI can really help assist in honing these skills too.
There are 2 reasons.
Sure.
Now tell me the third one.
Another reason is by knowing how things are built, you can actually understand the design limitations of something. So a designer presents them with this beautiful design, but then only to find out very difficult to implement. And sometimes that's fine, but in the real world, we often have limitations. time limitations, money limitations, and knowing some of these things can really help, especially when you're on a time crunch.
Like with every demand, if you, let's say you are a backend engineer, if you have no idea front end, you really have no idea how things are working. So in mind, I think it's important for front end to have a little bit of understanding in the back end, UI UX design, and for UI UX design to know code and back end front end. One thing that I think a lot of companies are missing, and it's unfortunate, in agile team that we have, agile functionalities and all these
silos, isolated.
Yeah, I think we need a little bit more collaboration in knowledge sharing. Actually.
Sure. Reason number 4, faster and better prototyping. So, yeah, a big part of designing things in the modern age is prototyping what you're working on, and usually, traditionally, that is in a design tool like Figma or Sketch or Adobe XD or something like that, where it is purely static. There's no code. You can use the Figma export to code, things like that, but it's usually not production ready code. So we're never going to be as good as somebody whose focus is software engineer. But just knowing the base level stuff, being able to talk their language, or working on a small interaction, or as I mentioned earlier, you can be the one in charge of the layout or the styles of the page or small interaction. You can be the one to actually make sure that is done just right, not necessarily coding the whole thing end to end with login and authentication and all that stuff. And the last reason I'll say it's good to know coding as a designer is you're going to just have a better end product. You're going to understand performance issues better. You're going to understand the ins and outs of everything, which will give you better insight into the whole user experience, not just the user experience in your eyes as a designer.
The conclusion is, and I will look straight into your eyes, I think working in agile environment that we are today, it's not just for UI UX designer to know code. I think it's for coding guy, the guy who codes front end or back end, to know a little bit of UI UX and QE and back end and data. And like we said before, it just helps. Like
if you're a designer and you're thinking, this is the worst idea, I should not be anywhere around code. I hate math. This is not for me. This is why I got into design. Maybe product and, honing, maybe you can help run stand-ups or, it doesn't have to be coding. That's just an example, I guess. And it's a pretty natural example for most people. That's what I did in my career, but it could be something, as like product.
So to put our final thoughts together for our viewers to not be confused, put it together.
What do you think? I think we think that it's a good idea in 2025 for UI UX designers, product designers, any designers to know how to write some code.
Perfect. Well, thank you, amigo.
Till next week, forget to like.
Oh, please subscribe. We need subscribers.
Yes, and we love your comments. We love hearing from you.
Oh, the short video that we have, those guys were wonderful.
Oh, yes. They had so many lovely things to say. And let us know. Are you a designer who writes code or who does not write code? What do you think?
Thank you.
Take care.